Clarification real quick, this entire video is just conjecture and I have no real scientific evidence to base these claims off of. This is more just a theory that I have that I've been thinking about, for fun. You're probably confused about the title of the video. I use ADHD less as a medical term in this context and more as a broad idea. I use it as the hyperactivity and, the confused state where you're just kind of jumping between thing to thing, twitching around, that type of thing. I get all these symptoms, but I'm using it more as a abstract idea that's based off of those basic things and not necessarily a medical term. Anyway, so I've been thinking a lot about how I've been just consuming more stuff, how I've been getting more things done, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I don't go in calls with people 24/7 and I drink lots and lots of caffeine. I did a little bit of research and apparently caffeine acts as a dopamine agent similar to stimulants like Adderall, and so it can have a positive effect on people with ADHD. Now, I never really elicited that many symptoms of ADHD before I got heavy into YouTube and into doing Discord calls. Now, one could wager that maybe I was just getting older at the time, and so the ADHD symptoms started showing themselves worse. I have no idea. But, I did notice a huge change when I started watching YouTube all the time and going into calls with people, because I feel like that social media just gave me this instant gratification all the time, to the point where if I wanted to do something more contemplative, then I just would lack the energy for it, because why wait to get that emotional gratification when I can get the emotional gratification from somewhere else, that's much easier to attain and much easier to do. So I found myself being on social media all the time and then not having time for media, because it's like, well, why would I do that? If I try to sit down and do it, I start twitching, and if I try to focus on the show, I can't fucking focus because my thoughts are going all over the place, and I'd rather do that than sit down and watch this show to wait to get the good things out of it. So it got to a point where the only anime or anything really that I could watch was if it was like a 10 out of 10. It used to be, before, what I would be able to do is watch just anything. Just watch anything all the time. But over time, I just lost that ability to focus. I lost that ability to maintain my attention. And now I feel like I've gotten it back. And largely, I think it's due to the fact that I don't spend all of my time in erroneously long calls. I don't spend my entire day just on Twitter and on YouTube. Instead, I do other things. I go around and try and do something productive around the house, talk to people more in real life. I try to spend my time with media that's less, throwawayable. I don't think that's a word, but media that's just garbage that you consume and then you forget about it. I've been trying to spend it more with stuff that I'm going to remember, that I think is cool, and I've been drinking lots and lots of caffeine to help me focus. And honestly, it's been a ginormous help. I don't think I should rely on caffeine, because I think that's, an unhealthy thing to do, but you would be surprised at the amount that caffeine has helped me focus on things. I probably need some kind of ADHD medication, because it's like, without caffeine, I literally cannot focus on something for a very long amount of time. So I don't know. I never showed these signs before. Before I had constantly been on calls and stuff. Like, I honestly think that passive media, that very easy instant gratification just rotted my brain and made it to where I viewed the entire world differently afterwards. Luckily, I feel like I'm getting out of that, you know. I spent, you know, the entire day yesterday just watching Serial Experiments Lane, and I didn't even have any breaks through it. Like, I just laid down and I watched the whole show. Unheard of for me in these times. I usually never do that because I can't focus on one thing for that long. But I did. I think it's important to realize when the internet starts cutting through this attention span, because, like, I don't think this is a radical theory or anything. Like, I've noticed people who started getting really into Discord or started getting really into social media in general, and they can literally not watch any media unless they're in a voice call with somebody else because they need that added stimulation of a bunch of things going on, or else they can't focus properly. So like they'll make a rabbit group or something and then they'll watch half of the show because they get bored at the middle of it, because yeah, of course you get fucking bored at the middle of it. You spend all of your time just constantly being filled with stimulus overload, you know? Like, and the only way you could even muster up the energy to watch the show in the first place is if you had two other people in the fucking call. Like, of course this is happening. Because we surround ourselves with this instant gratification all the time, and it deteriorates our ability to pay attention to things. That's my theory anyway. Again, this is not based on any scientific evidence. This is just things that I've observed, and I'm more so saying Discord-induced ADHD because it's a funny tagline. I'm more so talking about the deterioration of the attention span, which is not necessarily ADHD, I know. That's just a funny tagline.